Good morning, my dear friends. As I promised earlier, I am going to share one of my short stories through social media. From now on, I will post one short story every Thursday, as I have already finished around 10 more stories ready to go. My work pattern is like this way. I work in a care home 5 days a week. I am free on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So every day I woke up at 5 a.m. I spend half an hour to ready and next half an hour for exercising. Between 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I sit down to write. On Tuesday, normally I finished one story, and then after finishing it, I send that story to one of my dear friend, Mr. Charles, is an English teacher, and sometimes send it to Mr. Garrett, who is also an English teacher in Gower College. I'm very grateful to both of them to help me to improve my grammar, my sentence structure, and to correcting my English. And today's short story is called King Bass Iron Chest. I actually got this idea from my earlier video about Diderot effect. I wondered what would happen if someone experienced the Diderot effect in my own line of work. The story is set somewhere I know very well, a care home. Back to the story, one more thing. If you had prefer not to listen my pronunciation or my Indian accent, you can read the full story in the first comment. Thank you so much. Please share it, support me, and feel free to leave your honest thoughts. I would like to read them. Thank you very much. Then I'm going to the story King Bass Iron Chest. 100 pounds for these clothes? Betty exclaimed angrily. She grabbed the receipt, crumbled it into a ball, and threw it across the kitchen. Yes, but they are royal clothes. Only kings and princes wear outfits like these, Bastian replied anxiously. He had brought the garments from the Chiswick auction and eagerly explained their value. They were all made by Bernard's Weatherlit Limited to Salvay Row. The company has held the royal warrant for producing riding clothes since 1920. Betty often became furious about her husband's strange. Betty and Bastian both worked at the same care home. Betty was a senior carer while Bastian worked there as a cleaner. Every Sunday, Bastian took their two daughters to the local car boot sale, often called the Sunday market. He loved buying second-hand treasures. Their house was overflowing with toys, clothes, ornaments, and countless unnecessary items collected from charity shops and the flea markets. This habit was only the source of conflict in their marriage. Whenever Betty lost her patience, she threw many of the unwanted items into the bin. Within a week, Bastian would fill those empty spaces again. However, when it came to his royal clothes, Bastian became unusually possessive. They are royal. They are my dream, my life. Never interfere with them, he shouted. Fearing that Betty might throw them away, Bastian brought an old but sturdy iron chest from a charity shop. He carefully locked his precious collection inside and kept the key with his car keys wherever he went. The first time he wore the royal outfit was at a dinner party. Everyone admired his elegant appearance and the clothes suited him remarkably well. But instead of enjoying the evening, Bastian spent every moment worrying about the outfit. He sat carefully, ate cautiously, and kept away from serving dishes to avoid stains. Whenever friends tried to hug him or spilled their drinks while laughing and dancing, he quickly checked that his clothes were still spotless. Protecting the royal clothes became more important than enjoying the party itself. Buzz, you look fantastic, his friend Thomas said. But you really should replace those old shoes. It was sensible advice. Bastian realized that his worn out shoes ruined the royal appearance. He searched charity shops and second hand websites for suitable replacements but found nothing worthy of his collection. Members of the royal family often wore brands such as Crockett and Jones, Hunter, and Aquasara. For the first time in his life, Bastian spent more than £100 on a brand new pair of quality shoes to match his royal suits. Although Betty was upset by the expense, she secretly appreciated that for once he had brought something new instead of second hand. Unfortunately, the shoes were only the beginning. Soon he brought an expensive hat, designer sunglasses, and several matching accessories. When Bastian announced that he now wanted a royal wristwatch, Betty sensed real danger. She realized that her husband was no longer simply collecting clothes, he was becoming consumed by an obsession. Every day, Bastian spoke about royal watches. Betty noticed that he spent more and more time in the residence rooms examining their antique belongings. She spoke gently to Bastian, discussed her concern with the nurses at the care home, and even sought advice from psychologists. Nothing changed. Bastian no longer admired royalty. He believed he belonged among them. Within a month, he sold his old car and bought a used Land Rover Discovery. He spent a fortune restoring and maintaining it. Gradually, he replaced the curtains, carpets, furniture, and decorations throughout the house with items he believed looked suitably royal. Sometimes he stood alone and murmured to himself, "A king deserves a royal watch." Before long, he was drowning in debt, while Betty struggled to carry the financial burden alone. Wherever Bastian went, he wore his royal clothes. He even drove to work dressed like royalty. Since only uniforms were permitted inside the care home, he changed in the staff toilet before starting his shift. His friends and colleagues were astonished by the dramatic change in his behavior. Many laughed behind his back. As he walked through the corridor, someone whispered, "Morning, Your Majesty." His daughters became embarrassed and avoid walking beside him in public. Eventually, he no longer owned the clothes owned him. When Bastian began wearing his royal clothes to bed and expected to be treated like a king, that was the final straw. Betty threw him out of their bedroom. However, she quietly repaired his old cleaner's uniform because she still hoped he would return to himself. Bastian moved into the tiny box room, sleeping alone in a single bed beside his treasured iron chest. On every day, on every day off, he wandered through shopping centers, marketplaces, parks, and bus stations simply to display his royal appearance. He spent hours watching television series such as The Crown, The Tudors, and The Pillars of the Earth, becoming increasingly absorbed in the lives of monarchs. Whenever he was alone at home, he stood before the mirror, bowed to himself, and practiced royal speeches. Soon he began buying antique cutlery, silverware, and decorative pots. In response, Betty locked the kitchen cupboards. Their daughters kept their bedroom doors locked as well. Gradually, Bastian's world shrank into the attic, the living room, and his tiny box bedroom. He replaced the family photographs with the portraits of kings and queens and decorated the walls with royal themed artwork. Bastian no longer admired royalty. He belonged among them. When neighbors jokingly called him King Bas, he accepted the title with pride. One morning, after returning from the night shift, Betty had just fallen asleep when loud banging shook the front door. She opened it to find two police officers standing beside Sarah, the care home's manager. "I'm sorry, Betty," Sarah said quietly. "We have had a theft at the care home. Peter Davies' vintage watch has gone missing. After reviewing the CCTV footage and gathering evidence, the police identified Bastian as the suspect." Betty remembered Bastian's explanation about Peter Davies' Omega watch. Peter Davies had once told him, "My father wore this watch during his service. A gentleman may lose his money, but he should never lose his dignity." "We need to search the house," the senior officer said firmly. He turned towards the police van. "Bring him in." The van door opened. Bastian stepped out in handcuffs, escorted by two officers. "Where have you hidden the watch?" the officer demanded. Bastian silently pointed towards his box room and the old iron chest. It was locked. "Where is the key?" another officer asked. In my car," Bastian replied, fighting back tears. The officers had no patience left. With a heavy crowbar, they smashed the lock and forced open the chest. Layer by layer, they lifted the carefully folded royal cloth. Hidden beneath them lay an Omega Speedmaster wristwatch worth nearly 7,400. No one spoke. As the officers led him back to the police van, Bastian reached for his royal coat. "You can't wear that," one officer said. King Bas entered the police van wearing only his dirty cleaner's uniform. Thank you very much.